goddamn, I need IPA.
This is Beering Ain't Easy, your podcast for beer humor, dad humor, and beer tastings from Texas and beyond. So crack one if you got one and turn it up.
All right, everyone, welcome to Beering Ain't Easy with Adam and Drew, episode number 39.
So for all our loyal listeners out there, you know we talk a ton about beer, naturally. But we also have something else we like to talk about a lot, and that's, you know, that living that dad life, that suburban life. So that's what we're bringing to you today. And what do you think, Adam? It's been a little while, hasn't it?
I think so. I think we're due for a dad-heavy episode.
Yeah, so today, you know, our topic, we're going to really focus on like the dynamics of first kid, middle kid, youngest kid. But before we get into that, we got to introduce our special guest tonight. Our guest is the host of the Bern Appetit podcast and co-host of 3 Beers and a Mic. Welcome, Bernie, to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm 3 beers and a mic and 3 kids and a wife. So this is a perfect crossover event here.
Yeah, we checked your qualifications before coming on. We realized the dad qualifications were on point, so it was a natural fit.
The beer qualifications on point.
You just had to have beer in your podcast name, and it was a shoe-in. So
Brilliant.
So speaking of beer, like, we might as well just talk about what we're drinking, man.
I think so. What do we got, Drew?
So on our end, so I didn't mention, but Bernie, you're calling in from Columbus, Ohio, right?
Columbus, Ohio. That is correct.
So we're not all drinking the same beer because, you know, we're too cheap to ship our fucking beer up to Bernie. But, I met family out in Shreveport, which had never been to Shreveport before. Have either of y'all been to Shreveport, Louisiana?
I have not.
Nope.
No immediate plans either.
Yeah, it's an interesting town. I wouldn't call it a destination.
So is that your family's preferred vacation destination?
So we've got a newborn, and we were not about to drive 9 hours to my parents' house. And so Shreveport just happens to be the happy medium between my house and my parents' house. So we actually rented a Airbnb on a swamp. I wouldn't call it a lake. It was a fucking swamp. But I didn't know what to think about Shreveport, but it's a casino town, but it's not like a good casino town. So it's not as bad as like the, you know, Choctaw Nation, like Oklahoma casinos, but it's, you know, it's definitely not a reputable casino town. That's all I got to say about that.
Is that where they did True Blood? Isn't that supposed to be Shreveport? Or is that another show I'm thinking of?
Yeah, I know they were somewhere in that northern Louisiana.
Somewhere in the swamp somewhere.
Yeah. Back to the beer. So I went to the brewery I found was called the Great Raft Brewing Company. And so I actually took the kids and my dad there and picked up some to-go beers. And so the one I'm drinking right now is the Rhinestone Life IPA. It's a wheat IPA. So that's what me and Adam are drinking right now. And we've actually got another one too that we'll crack open a little bit called the Tropical in Nature, which is a New England IPA with fruit.
Interesting.
2 interesting IPAs on the agenda today.
I didn't actually notice that it was with fruit. You know, usually they have hops that taste like fruit, but this one actually brews it with fruit at the end. So I was like, that's a little bizarre.
Which fruit? Did they mention fruit, or is it just a vague, like eat your vegetables and they don't tell you which ones you have to eat?
It brings a lot of questions to mind when they don't specify the type of fruit. It's like a big fruit mashup.
Fruit cocktail with a little cherries. Yeah, actually,
tomatoes.
Pineapple, mango, kiwi, and orange.
Wow.
What you got up in Columbus, Bernie? What you drinking?
So I got 3 beers, as is the custom on our show, 3 Beers and a Mic. So first, I have a Breckinridge One-Stop Hop, which is an Imperial Hazy IPA. I've had Imperial IPAs. Typically can have about one of them just because they're so heavy and typically around 9% alcohol. Never had an Imperial Hazy, though. And I gotta say, I like it. I like the fruitiness of it. Isn't so hard to drink more than one of them. So I'm really enjoying that. And then Since my wife works for AB InBev,
Ooh.
have to drink good old American Budweiser.
Can't go
American,
wrong
started
with
by a Czech guy, but we claim it as American. And then Michelob Ultra. I always drink Michelob Ultra just because it's the easiest drinking, lightest beer. So
So this is a craft beer podcast, right?
And I do know that, and I did this on purpose, just to mess with you guys. I brought my one craft beer quotations, and then I brought my two big boy ones.
Yeah, Breckinridge is kind of like the Carbach of Colorado, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I didn't realize that Imperial IPA is the same thing as a double. So when every time you get a double hazy IPA, it's the same thing as Imperial. I didn't realize that, but Imperial makes it sound a lot fancier, and it actually makes it sound a little more hardcore than
it
just
does.
a double.
It does. I think I've had an Imperial or two.
Yeah. Yeah. My problem is I can't stop once I start those Imperials.
Yeah. They're not the easiest of drinking. Like typically, I can slam back some IPAs, but not the Imperial ones. One beer is lasting a lot longer than typical, which is fine because that's why I like the Hazy Imperial, because it's a nice, easy drinking one where I don't feel it in the pit of my stomach, that just the denseness of a normal double IPA.
A malt bomb, yeah. Well, since we're on the beer topic, we need to understand your beer profile. So if I were to ask you what is the very best brewery you've ever been to or the best beer you've tasted, what jumps out? And it can't be AB InBev
or
it wouldn't be. Not that I don't love AB InBev, but best brewery is Russian River, and best beer I've had is Pliny the Younger.
Over the Pliny the Elder.
Yeah. I just think it's just the hype factor of it, and the fact that it's only available for a couple weeks a year, and it's always so packed there to go in and get the beer. Kind of, I don't know if the beer is necessarily better, but the hype around the beer makes me think it's better. One of those, one of those marketing things. So
the hype is real.
Yeah,
it is real. Yeah, they have so many good beers there, especially their sours. Their sour beers are really good there.
Yeah, the scarcity market works really well for craft beer when you don't have a lot of it.
Yeah,
I mean, even this freaking tropical and nature beer that I got, I was sitting there in the brewery. I went up to the bar and I got one on draft, and I went over and I checked out their to-go cooler, and I looked at it and I was like, oh, they had plenty of these. This was their new release for the day. But as I was drinking my beer, I noticed that they were just flying out of the cooler, and I was like, oh shit, that must be good. So I went over there and there was only 2 4-packs left. And I was like, fuck, I'm not getting out of here without one of those. I got sucked into the hype.
The FOMO.
Yeah. But I think the fact that you've been to Russian River, and, we did a beer vacations episode a few weeks back, and you had listened to it and you had replied back that all the places that Adam and I wanted to go, it was Octoberfest, Russian River, I think Maine Beer Company too, right?
Yep, I've been there as well.
You'd been to every thing, so I couldn't decide if I wanted to come hang out with you at that point or if I wanted to punch you in the face. I don't know.
Yeah, so the Oktoberfest thing, we had friends from high school getting married in Ireland. She was marrying her husband, whose family is from Ireland. So the wedding was in Dublin. So we went to the wedding and stayed in Dublin for a couple of days, and then flew to Munich for, I think we stayed there a total of 4 days, 2 travel days, and then 2 days at actual Oktoberfest, which is plenty. That's all you need to do at Oktoberfest is 2 days. But I highly, highly recommend everyone in their lifetime go to Oktoberfest. It's the best. It's seriously the best thing in the world. It was so much fun. Get there early, too. You're going to be drinking liters of beer at 8:30 in the morning. That you just need to get in your head, or else you will not get a seat anywhere. It's going to be impossible to get beers. Well, I don't know with COVID and all that stuff. This was pre-COVID, but every tent there's probably 12 bigger tents. I think there's 8 like huge tents and then 4 like medium-sized tents that fit thousands of people in it. Because you're all on these wooden benches and they're all pushed together. So you just have like a row of like 100 people just sitting like shoulder to shoulder throughout these huge tents filled. And then there's a second story as well that's all filled up top.
Oh, damn.
It's insane. It's so much fun. So if you're even the slightest craft beer fan, you need to at some point in your life make the Mecca trip to Oktoberfest.
The official beer and ain't easy.
Yeah. Write that off on my taxes.
Yeah.
There you go. Smart man. And then the hotel we stayed at, I think it's like a Hilton or a Marriott, one of those two. The subway station was literally right out the back door of the hotel, 2 stops down to get to where Oktoberfest is held. So you just get on the little subway, 1, 2 stops, get off, and you're there.
You're not
Drink
even
all day
to fall asleep on the way back.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't even have enough time to fall asleep.
Yeah.
2 stops back and then do it again the next day. But it's kind of like Vegas, where 2-3 days.
That's enough.
Like you've done enough. Yeah.
You've done the damage.
Is there ever a point where you actually like slam the table, like you see everyone where everyone's like yelling out and hitting the tables, or is that just an Americanized version?
Yeah, well, they don't necessarily hit the tables, but there's typically bands playing, and then every I think 15 minutes or something they do like a chant. Everyone chants, and then you like clink your glasses together and drink. So they do that, and then they have people will stand up on their chairs and they'll chug their liter of beer, and the whole place, like 1,000 people, are just cheering them on. And if they finish it, the place goes nuts. But if you don't finish it, you get 1,000 people booing you. It's so much fun.
That's a lot of pressure.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, you don't even have to chug a full one. Like people were chugging like a fourth, whatever was left in their cup, and people would still cheer for you.
That's more my pace right there. Are there any good breweries in Columbus that, I guess, like, let me back up. Do you ever take your family to breweries, like kids included? Like, what is your stance with kids?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I take them. I don't care. It only bothers other people. I don't give a shit. But my kids aren't the ones that I let like run around and like bump into people. Like they're sitting with us and eating, soft pretzel or whatever they have on the menu, to keep them entertained with their like fire tablets or whatever. I'm not letting them run around like crazy. Yeah, we take them everywhere. I'm not a big fan of the craft breweries in Columbus, to be honest. I think they're all average at best, is how I would describe them. Cincinnati has better breweries than Columbus. And then Cleveland obviously has better. It's probably the worst craft beer city that we've lived in, other than Bakersfield, California. But I don't feel like they should count because they're in the middle of the desert.
Yeah. Hops don't grow too well over there.
Yeah.
It just got me thinking about like kids and breweries. When I actually picked this beer up, it wasn't nothing against the establishment at Great Raft, but like I brought my kids in there and like they had the high tables in the middle.
Oh,
and there was like the outdoor area where people had their kids, but it was all no kids on the inside. But I was like, okay, we're going in the air conditioning. And so we plopped in the middle, and like you kind of get a few of the customers that give you that side-eyed look. And then, but this brewery in particular were like super dog friendly, and like people had some big ass dogs in there. And like, I just don't understand, like you bring a dog in, they're like sniffing people's crotch, and everyone's like, oh, sweet, bring in more dogs. And then the kid comes in and they give the side eye. What's the deal about that? Like dogs are always preferred over kids.
Yeah, that's stupid. I mean, as long as your kid's sitting there and like not screaming, who cares? They're just, it's like anyone else, they're just sitting there. Like just mind your own business and drink your beer.
And even if my kids are screaming, I don't care as long as I'm drinking beer.
Yeah, Adam actually is the parent that allows his kid to just like get into someone else's lap.
My theory is the parents, if they had the option, don't want the kids there with them. They want to have the time to themselves. So just feel bad that they have to drag their kids to the brewery just to feel somewhat alive for 45 minutes.
Yeah. They can't afford the craft beer price and the sitter at the same time. So I'm going to pivot a little bit. I probably should have done this at the beginning, but Bernie, I want to give you a little chance to talk about your podcast. So, I'll just kind of turn it over to you and just give us your podcast profile. Tell us everything, what it's all about. And I'll chime in as a listener what my thoughts are.
All right, perfect. Yeah, I'll start with Bern Appetit because that's my baby there. My Instagram handle is Bern Appetit, and I'm always posting pictures of like the dumbest things I could possibly eat. And by that I mean like the biggest burgers, the burgers with like weird toppings and stuff on it, like weird pizzas, just anything stupid that you see on a menu. That's what I look for every time I go out to eat. So I'm always posting stuff like that. And then I did our spin-off 3 Beers and a Mic podcast that we call 3 Beers and an MCU, where we go over every single Marvel movie. And I do that with 2 guys, Dwayne, who's the godfather of Cross the Streams Media, and Scott. So we decided to take those guys and then do the Bern Appetit podcast we do about food. So we interview our guests for the first half of the episode, and then we let them pick the fast food place that we go to. And then we each pick an item from that fast food restaurant, and then we talk about the food, and we rate the items, do our bite of the nights. We've had some really great guests. We've had a guy who was on Top Chef this past season 18 in Top Chef Portland. He's a chef here in Columbus. He came on and did the show, which like blew me away that he would say yes to doing that. We had a bunch of Twitch streamers, podcasters, some Columbus food influencers. We've had a great group of guests for season 1 of that. So, and we're going to start up season 2 sometime in the fall here that we're pretty excited about. We do that one, and then 3 Beers and a Mic, obviously. I was invited on that show during COVID just because they were all recording remotely. And then COVID, we thought COVID would last, a couple months. And, once that ended, they do shows in person again. And then here we are a year and a half later, and they're still recording over StreamYard. So I still continue to be a guest host on there.
All of these podcasts that we're talking about are part of the Cross the Streams Media universe. So 3 Beers and a Mic, Bern Appetit, Beering Ain't Easy. We're all part of this media conglomerate. Bern Appetit is probably one of my favorites for sure.
Well, thank you so much.
So since you're in between seasons, and in that first season, you're eating like fast food every single episode. Are you like on like a lettuce only diet right now, or like how are you preparing?
People ask me that all the time. It's one of those things where like I show people what I want to show them. So if you're looking at like my social media, like this guy just eats like an idiot all the time. What you don't see is like during the week I'm eating chicken with Brussels sprouts. You know what I mean? Or we do a lot of like the home meals, like HelloFresh, Home Chef, Blue Apron, those kind of things. The fast food stuff, I typically only go and eat fast food if they're doing like a new item. Like if there's a new item at like Wendy's, you better bet your ass at 10:30 whenever their breakfast menu stops, I am there in the drive-thru getting whatever the new item is. About it and all that stuff. So
yeah, I think you're downplaying a little bit. I became kind of an avid listener of the Bern Appetit podcast. I haven't made it through every episode, but your knowledge of like everything that Taco Bell has ever done, and then all the menu items. I feel like when I eat fast food, it's like I'm like shame eating. I'm like, okay, I'm already mad because my kid wants me to go here, so I'm just going to get the same thing I always get. Yeah. And so I feel like your podcast has opened my eyes to like the wide range of menu items, and some of them are actually better than the garbage that I probably eat when I go to those places.
Yeah, it's been funny, like doing this podcast, and obviously I don't have any control of where we go, and I don't have any control of what anyone else wants to eat. So I pick my favorites from it, and then like we'll have people picking, like for our KFC episode, somebody picked the coleslaw from KFC. I'm like, who the hell wants to eat coleslaw? It was everyone's favorite thing they ate from the restaurant. Yeah. The coleslaw. So stuff like that just always blows my mind. Like I would have never have gotten coleslaw as a side whenever they give you option of 2 kinds of fries or mashed potatoes, or there's so much better stuff. And then the coleslaw is amazing there.
I love KFC's coleslaw.
Yeah.
It's so good. I don't know why it's good. I don't know why it's so good. Because I know it's from a bag, and I know one of their sister brands or whatever has that same coleslaw, but it doesn't taste the same. I don't know what it is.
I think let's get into the topic we're talking about today. So I think we need to get into some dad stuff. So
let's do it.
But first, let's hear about a Cross the Streams Media product partnership for the only beverage other than beer needed to survive dadhood.
Hey everyone, it's Bernie from Bern Appetit and the 3 Beers and a Mic Extended Universe, and I'm here to talk to you about something that is not only delicious, but also makes an impact. Thrive Coffee is a non-profit craft coffee roaster based out of Richmond, Virginia, who uses coffee to create careers and training opportunities for individuals with disabilities. Founded in 2019, Thrive Coffee's beans are locally roasted in small batches to ensure the highest quality, and they ship nationwide. And their 5 single origins are Colombia, Kenya, Sumatra, Honduras, and Brazil. And just 3 bags sold pays for 1 hour work for their differently abled employees. So it sounds like a Brazilian good reasons to check out their website at drinkthrive.org. And as an added bonus, Drink Thrive is giving our listeners a special promo code that gives you 15% off your first order. Just head over to drinkthrive.org and enter 3 beers at checkout. Again, that's drinkthrive.org, promo code 3beers.
The name of the episode today, I'm calling Revenge of the Middle Child. The idea is I have some personal opinions about like the difference between your oldest kid, your youngest kid, and if you have 3 kids, your middle kid. And I want to see if that's validated from our group conversation. So first, I think we need to do like a little bit of a dad profile of everybody around. Like, so both you as yourself, where are you as far as oldest, youngest, somewhere in between, and then your kids. And so, Bernie, give us your dad profile here.
Me and my twin brother are the middle children. I have an older sister, younger sister, and then an adopted brother who's just turned 16. Like growing up, I think my older sister definitely had more pressure as far as like academics and stuff go than what me or my brother did, but she actually like cared about that stuff and like tried, so that pressure, like she enjoyed it. I didn't give a shit about homework or school or grades or anything like that, so they didn't come down, as hard and strict on me. 'Cause I think it was just a matter of, I don't want to say giving up, but picking other battles, I'll say, than so strict that way. And then my youngest sister, they were strict too, just because she was the baby.
So it's like identical twin or fraternal?
Yes, identical. Yeah.
Man,
Wow.
This podcast like attracts
it's loaded
identical twins.
with identical twins. No.
Yeah, you just had a guest on
Yeah.
2 episodes ago?
Identical twins.
Yeah.
Or 3/4 or
Yeah. I think that's a new theme. We just only bring on folks
yes,
who have
apparently
twins.
so.
So the middle child stereotypes and stuff, I think, fit in my life. Now, I have 3 kids myself. I have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old. And I feel like I'm so aware of the middle child stuff that I do everything to not be like that, if that makes sense. Like, I purposely give our middle one extra time and, stuff like that, so she doesn't feel like she's, left out or whatever.
So, Adam, tell me your profile as a child and your dad profile.
So
refresh us on both.
my profile is a middle child, and I was an angel of a middle child. So I have an older sister and a younger sister, and I feel like all of us fit the profile perfectly. Like my older sister is so fucking bossy. Even still, like to this day, it's like she's always like telling me
How to
and my
live your
younger
life.
sister like how to live our life, and we're just like, Leah, would you just shut the fuck up?
And so your kids, we've talked about on the show, but refresh the listeners.
Okay, so my kids, I have an 8-year-old daughter, a 6-year-old son, and a 2.5-year-old son. They very much so fit the profile. So my oldest daughter is very bossy. She is basically the mom of the house.
Because God knows y'all aren't doing it.
Yeah. Jody, I hope you heard Drew's comment there.
I was mainly.
I didn't say no. I didn't say she was the dad of the house. I said she was the mom.
This will be the last episode of Beering Ain't Easy.
He's not allowed to come over to the house anymore.
Then my youngest is quite the adventurous little man.
As we've discussed.
And then my middle is a sneaky bastard.
Yeah. How so?
He's just sneakily does naughty things.
Yeah.
That's
Tries to come out like an angel, but he's like
comes
doing
out
something.
like an angel, and then when you expect it the least, that's when he gets you.
That's when he strikes.
What about you, Drew?
So I'm gonna throw a little curveball here. I am the oldest child in my household growing up. It was only a 2-kid household, but so I've had my own opinions on oldest and youngest and everything. But from a dad profile, I've got an 8-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a newborn. So I do have a middle child, and so I think we'll get into that in a minute. But the thing I want to introduce into the conversation is I've always felt that the first kid is a little more motivated and successful.
I've had contrary conversations with your parents.
No, it's funny. I'm a first kid. Meredith, my wife, is a first kid. And so don't ever tell my other kids this, but when our first daughter was born, before we had other kids, we called it the trifecta. Yeah, we're going to cause all kinds of problems in the family later on. But it is funny though. I remember my sister, I would do stuff and she did a lot of the same stuff I did. I was trying to get the hell out of Arkansas. So I went to school at Texas A&M, and my sister went to Texas A&M. You know what I mean? It's funny. How that works. There's this period of time where your younger sibling, adores what you do and follows what you do.
Oh yeah.
So did y'all feel that way about your older siblings?
Nah.
At least in an early, or no? Not from the start?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
That's just a myth that the older sibling convinces themselves of, where the middle sibling is actually the one who sets the stage for the family in reality. I think Bernie can back me up on that.
Yeah, I had no interest following my sister in literally anything. So the best way I could say that.
She would say what Drew just said.
That's why I want to have this conversation, because there's two sides to every story here.
But my middle kid, Kennedy, she is obsessed with doing everything Arya does, the older one. And Arya is super bossy. But Kennedy is the mom of the house, the middle child. It's so weird. Our youngest, Sawyer, will be crawling around about to get into something, and she'll just lose her mind. She'll be like, "Dad, pick him up, pick him up, pick him up." I'm like, "All right, Jesus Christ, stop yelling at me. I'm right here. He's getting into this. He's getting into this. He's going to swallow this." I'm like, "All right, I don't need a manager here. All right, I got it." So it's weird to see that from the middle child.
My middle child is kind of the same way. She actually straightens up the house and she watches our baby the most. I don't know. Yeah. I'm looking for themes here, and I'm wondering, y'all both had older sisters, but your scenario with your kids, it's 2 girls. So it's a middle girl and an older girl. So it makes me wonder the dynamic, because I have 2 girls, or I have 3 girls, but my 2 oldest, my middle one is the same way. She adores and does everything that the older one does, to a point, until she cracks. And that's where I got the idea for this episode. But I'm interested so on yours, Adam, like your kid dynamics. So like, where does Caleb fall in with the oldest?
So he, not to the same degree that y'all are talking about. He likes his older sister and looks up to her, but like he doesn't want to do everything she does. And he sure as shit is not worried about the baby. So he is not sitting there telling us to pick up Carver or worry about Carver.
This is interesting because I think the dynamics do make a difference with the gender of the child too.
I think it's a factor.
Regardless of whether the middle one follows the oldest one is still going to try to like call the shots on a lot of stuff. I think can we all agree on that part?
Yeah, absolutely.
No, yeah.
So the story that got me like thinking about this was my middle child has just always looked up to the oldest. She wants all the same toys. She wants to dress the same way. She wants to do everything. But like she's gotten to the point where my oldest has just abused her for years, where she'll be like, hey, I'm not going to play with you unless you do this. Like she like manipulates her. It's just like real fucked up. And we try to like intervene, but she's
sounds like a parenting issue.
She's mischievous. And I was like, in one of the days, my middle child is just going to pop off on her, and the oldest child is just going to deserve everything that's coming to her. And that happened. And that's what I'm here to talk about today is there was this incident where my oldest child was trying to tell her something, and she's probably twice the height. I mean, she's double the height of the middle child, but my middle child was like finally fed up, and she like took her shoulders back like she was about to get in a fight, and she just like squared up like right in her face and goes, do you want me to push you? I was like, I just started laughing, just like hysterical laughing. I was like, as a parent, I should not be like encouraging violence, but I was like, she had it coming like so bad. And I was like, okay, yep, sorry, Faye. Violence is not the answer, but I do respect your strength right there and the fact that you're standing up for yourself. So, that was my parenting moment. I don't know if I
give her one free pop. That's all she gets.
Yeah. So my only takeaway there is the drastic difference between boys and girls. There would be no talk of pushing, and there would be tackling and punching.
Yeah, it would just go straight to action.
It would go straight to action. And so, like, the situation you just described is, like, the situation that happens all the time between my two boys. And so Carver, my youngest, is actually usually the one that is causing harm.
He's the alpha.
He is the alpha. And so a lot of times, like, Caleb, the older boy, will like take his toy. So like Carver will be playing with something, he'll walk up and just rip it out of his hand. And then Carver will run and tackle him and be like hitting him and stuff like that. And so I'll look over and Caleb will be like yelling or crying on the ground, and Carver is the one that is
it's like a boss baby.
Yeah. And so I can't fathom the idea of Carver or Caleb
just showing the restraint.
Do you want me to push you?
Yeah. I guess it's just so unexpected from like she's the mom, the gentle one, and all of a sudden I see her with her fist balled and her shoulders thrown back, looking like she's about to tumble. I was like, damn, you go get you some, girl.
There you go.
So Bernie, how about you, man? Have you had any good run-ins between the oldest and the middle?
So my oldest discovered very early on that she can distract Kennedy, the middle one, to get whatever she wants. So if Kennedy's playing with the toy that Arya wants, she'll go get another toy and be like, hey, Kennedy, you want to play with this toy? And Kennedy's like, oh, she's a baby. She's like, oh, yeah, I want to just grab whatever. And then Arya takes whatever she wants, and then she just goes to a different room out of sight. And it still continues like that today. The middle one also will put up with shit either. Like if they're they wrestle like all the time. Like if they're just constantly just like yelling at each other of like, don't boss me around or don't tell me what to do. Like I don't want to play this way. It's just like I just let them do whatever. Schoolyard rules in the house. They'll figure it out.
Yeah, schoolyard psychology.
Yeah.
As long as they're not hitting each other or pushing each other, like, I'll just let them figure it out.
Yeah, no blood, no
Builds,
foul.
builds character.
Nice. It's like the Calvin Hobbes parenting style right there.
Conflict resolution. Learn it early.
So do y'all, like, as when y'all were kids, do you ever remember a time where you really struck back?
Not for me. I had a twin brother, so we used to beat the shit out of each other. So all our energy was just focused on one-upping each other and fighting each other, and like I didn't care about the older sister. Like I was too busy wrestling and fighting with my brother to worry what she was doing.
Nothing jumps out to you?
Nothing jumps out to me. I mean, I'm sure that my parents could tell a different story, but nothing that I really remember.
Let's call them in right now. So, Bernie, were you the first twin born or the second?
I was the second, and they actually didn't know they were having twins.
Damn.
Somehow throughout the whole pregnancy and ultrasounds and all that stuff, they thought it was just one baby. And then they were surprised. My mom had a C-section where they brought my brother out, and they're like, all right, here comes baby 2. And my dad was like, wait, what? What do you mean baby 2? They're like, yeah, you're having twins. Completely unexpected. So my name is Bernie the Third, because my dad was Bernie and my grandpa was obviously Bernie. So it was a scramble for a name, I think. Shit, we didn't plan on this. What are we going to name this baby now? Bernie the Third. Like, all right.
Done. So did your brother ever pull rank on you for being the first?
No. I mean, we're talking 5 minutes. Like, I wouldn't respect that rank anyway.
So I think, like, towards the end of the episode here, I mean, we should at least see what we thought about the beers we drank today. So, Bernie, what did you make it through your Imperial Hazy?
I did. And I'm halfway through my Budweiser. Imperial Hazy, I really, really like IPAs. I don't like the real heavy stuff where I just feel like shit after drinking one of them. So I always gravitate towards the West Coast IPAs, the fruitier kind of stuff, just because it's like I want to drink more than one beer. I don't want to drink one beer and be like bogged down by it. That's why I don't like porters. And like I'll drink a porter and a stout, but like I'm not actively seeking those out. Mm-hmm. So this was really good. And then of course, Budweiser, always really good.
Are you like obligated to say that for every episode?
Actually, I rarely have regular Budweiser.
I can't remember the last time I had a Bud Heavy.
So I will say there is a documentary. I think you can get it through like Amazon Prime or you can rent it through any of those things. It's called The King of Beers, where AB does a contest every year for all breweries throughout the world to see who can make like the best Budweiser. And they send in samples, I think like monthly or whatever. And they have a round table of their beer experts taste these beers every month, and they rank them and they score them. And the contest is changing every month till the end of the year when the big conference where they announce the winner and stuff. It's really, really cool documentary. I know you guys talk about how you've done home brewing and stuff. So it's always insane to me. And I relate this to like McDonald's, right? Where you go to McDonald's anywhere in the world and it's the same burger. And like to do that is just insane. And I've homebrewed before, and I know it is a hard process, and the slightest mess up just like destroys your entire batch. It could even be like you don't quite clean it as well as you should have. Like you just missed something, and it just contaminates the whole thing, and it's just all skunked and gross. To have Budweiser made at 12 breweries here and then all throughout the world all taste exactly like Budweiser is pretty insane. Really cool documentary. But one of the breweries that I think they came in second place, Wuhan, China. Can you believe that?
Whew. It's like the COVID-wiser?
Pre-COVID. But no brewery has ever won outside the United States. So,
Wow.
spoilers. Got a chance? Check out King of Beers. If you're not beer snobs like you two, of course.
We're above that.
There's a time and a place for every beer. So, Adam, these Shreveport beers, man, what are you thinking? We had the wheat IPA, which was Rhinestone Life, and we had Tropical in Nature, which was the hazy IPA with fruit cocktail. Which one do you like better?
I don't know. They're too different to compare, I feel like. The fruit beer is very fruity, and it smells really fruity.
Yeah.
It smells like blueberry, I think.
Well, they use like 5 different fruits in it. When they say with fruit, they're underselling the amount of fruit that they used.
As soon as I cracked it and poured it, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. It's very aromatic, and it's kind of wangy a little bit when you drink it.
Yeah.
And full disclosure, I had one of these before.
Oh, against the
rules of the podcast. But when I drank it, I was like, I don't really like this beer. But then after it was done, I was like, I kind of want another one of those. So that they like inject some crack in there that like makes you want another one. So,
well, it doesn't taste nearly as fruity as it smells.
Right.
Which is a good thing, because when I cracked it open and poured it, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be intense.
Smacked in the face with it.
Some blueberry yum yum.
Yeah, back to the blueberry yum yum. Actually, like between the two, I like the wheat IPA better. I thought it was a well-rounded IPA. I enjoyed that one. The fruit one is a little bit wangy, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty solid IPA.
Yeah, it's definitely drinkable.
Would come back, do again.
I think so.
Well, I want to say thank you, Bernie, for coming onto the show. It was awesome having you on. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Do you have any plugs you want to throw out before the end of the show?
Just head over to crossthestreamsmedia.com. That's where you will find both of my podcasts, Bern Appetit, 3 Beers and a Mic. It's also where you will find all 38 other episodes of Beer Ain't Easy. We just added our 12th podcast to the network, which is pretty exciting. Toy Rewind was our 12th one. And before that, we added STS guys, Shoot the Shit guys. So the network is always growing.
All right. Well, thanks again, Bernie. It's been an awesome show. Any parting thoughts, Adam?
Well, I think the audience now can feel educated on what it's like to have 3 kids and the revenge of the middle child.
Which there isn't as much revenge as I had thought there would be, but
I think a lot of that has to do with modern parenting styles too. If you invented podcasts 40 years ago and you had this conversation, I think it would be a lot different than having it today.
But if you interviewed the parent, they probably wouldn't know what the fuck was going on with their middle child then.
Yeah, it's like, who's the middle child? That's a wrap. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you all next time.
This has been a Brewing Ain't Easy production in Houston, Texas. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram. And if you want to see what we're drinking, our untapped handles are Brewing Ain't Easy Adam and Brewing Ain't Easy Drew.
This has been a Cross the Streams Media Podcast.